Welcome to the How to Quit Working show. This is the only show that brings you awesome people just like you who got sick and tired of doing something they don't like and don't care about and have created an amazing life of freedom using what they know instead of just getting paid for what they do. And now, here's your host, the Quit Working guy, Jeff Steinman.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the How to Quit Working show. I'm Jeff Steinman, and today I have got an awesome guest. Nick Rogue Quick does not do anything the way that he's supposed to. He does everything completely opposite of the way everybody tells him he should do it, and that has been hugely successful for him. Nick started out managing a gentleman's club in Las Vegas. He didn't like that. It wasn't fulfilling, so he used something that he learned there to start an online business and live the lifestyle that he wants, traveling throughout South America with his Chihuahua, as well as living now in the city that he considers to be paradise. And he also is now helping other people to do the same thing, and I am so thrilled to have him on the show. Nick, welcome, and how are you doing today?
I am rocking and rolling.
That is awesome. So now you've got some really interesting stuff going on. So we put out these requests for people to interview, and I got to be honest, I get a lot of really boring people who contact me, people who just want to promote their silly internet marketing thing or whatever it is that they have. But you've got a really interesting story. You got two main things going on. So you've got a website where it looks like you're teaching people how to get laid, number one.
Yes.
And then you're also teaching people, once that's out of the way, how do you build a lifestyle that you love and that you're really interested in? And it lets you live life on your terms and the way you want.
That is exactly correct. I mean, I'm doing two separate businesses that both are kind of passion businesses for me. But yeah, I'm really excited and passionate about doing both and helping people with being able to follow whatever it is that they want, whatever would make them truly fulfilled in the moment. And sometimes, I start off with a business that is something that will help guys, but then it evolves into something else. And I think that's all about what it is to create this kind of lifestyle, is just being able to follow those passions.
Well, that's a perfect segue into the first thing that I wanted to ask you, which is how on earth did you decide to start a business that is about helping guys get laid?
It's funny that you should ask that. First off, it was because I was really, really, really terrible with women at one point in my life.
Okay.
And through a lengthy process, that I could get into, but I probably won't in this interview. I could tell you the evolution of how I got really good, and then decided, you know what? I hate my job. And I had a job at the time that most people would really most men would be envious of. I was I was managing a gentleman's club in Las Vegas.
Okay.
And I can remember I took the first vacation I'd done in years, because I was basically a slave with I guess I wore a suit every night. I would say I was a slave with a blue collar, but I was wearing a business suit every night to work. So I guess I was a slave with a white collar. But
okay.
I remember I took the first vacation I had in years to Costa Rica, and I was sitting on the beach drinking a Imperial Cerveza, and I was thinking, why can't I do this every day?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Then the gears started turning. I'm like, well, I think I could.
Okay.
I didn't really want to be chained to living that lifestyle where I had to be in a certain place at a certain time, go to work, even though it wasn't even like a standard typical desk job or, something that most people would hate. I actually somewhat enjoyed my job. I just didn't have the freedom that I wanted. The freedom to just go wherever I wanted, when I wanted.
Yeah. Now you said you just decided, I can do this. I can't sit here every day. Now we all know it's not that simple, right?
No, absolutely not.
So talk a little bit about how did you get from that point of, I'm because you, I assume, like everybody else in this country and in the world basically, was brought up with this asinine notion that the only way to live, is to go to school and go to college and spend a bunch of time and money getting educated on something that you may or may not like, and then go see if you like it. It's the dumbest idea I've ever heard of. But
It's
I assume I assume that you came from that mentality, right? So what was it that, how did you get yourself out of that mindset and into the mindset of, no, there's another way to do this?
It's really funny because the whole path that I took to get there is really kind of strange. Now, I grew up in a very small town in Idaho, and I never really went more than like 300 miles from my hometown for most of my growing up life.
I understand. I did the same thing, only Illinois.
So rural Illinois?
Yeah.
So I totally can empathize there.
Yeah.
Growing up. Yeah, exactly. But, it was really kind of frustrating for me because I got to see my younger sister. She got to travel the world doing silly stuff like dancing. She was a clogger, which is silly kind of dancing. But, I was so envious of her that the first thing that I did when I graduated high school, I went to a semester of college, and then I got on a plane, the first plane I'd ever gotten on, and took what was at the time the longest flight in the world from New York City to Johannesburg, South Africa.
Oh, wow.
I ended up living there for a couple of years, and I was supposed to be on a student exchange, but for 6 months, and then 6 months turned into several years. Finally, I had to get back to reality. Came back, I'm like, I've got to do what they've laid out ahead of me. I've got to, get my degree, because once I get that piece of paper, then all these doors are going to be unlocked. They're going to open to me, and I'll finally
the doors to the strip club.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I found out the cold hard truth was after I graduated, I found out that the job that I was doing to pay for college in the first place was paying a lot more than the jobs that I was going to be offered with that piece of paper.
Yeah.
So I quickly found myself right back into, I paid for college through bartending.
Okay.
So I found myself right back in the bar business once I had quit all that, and decided to get my first real desk job, and realized I hated it.
Well, what was your first desk job? Was that the gentleman's club?
That wasn't, no.
Okay.
I was, and this all sounds fancy pants, but I had no idea what I was doing at the time. I was the international marketing director for a publishing company.
Wow,
but
I almost fell asleep when you said that.
Exactly. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no marketing experience. I had a degree in philosophy. So.
Wow, okay.
How I landed that, I don't know, but it didn't pay very well, and I was better off bartending.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean.
Okay, so you were bartending because that was making better money than being the international marketing blah blah blah, and so you're bartending, and then did you kind of work your way up into managing the club? How did you get to that point?
It's funny because I started off, and especially in the gentleman's club, I had a very good resume, but it was in a resume that in a city that is the polar opposite of Las Vegas. It was Salt Lake City, where I went to college. And so I remember I went to a bar down there, a gentleman's club there, just ask for a job, and he's like, "I would never hire you here." I'm like, "Well, you keep that attitude, I'm going to be back next Thursday." And I came back the next Thursday. He's like, "What did I tell you last week?" I'm like, "I know, but what did I tell you last week? What do you got this week?" And he's like, "Nothing." I'm like, "Well, I'm coming back next Thursday, so you better have something for me." It's like, "Okay, whatever." But the next week I came back, and he's like, "All right, you start tomorrow." But I started off on the strangest job, like the lowest, rung on the ladder there.
I'm scared to hear what this is going to be.
It sounds like and it probably is the most brain dead, stupid job that I ever had. But I turned a brain dead job into a kind of a cash cow.
Okay.
Which meant I got promoted downward, basically. What I would do is I would basically walk the dancers to their car at the end of the night. Now, they thought I was just security, protecting them. Basically, I was just making sure they weren't turning tricks or selling drugs. But
okay.
The first night that I did this job, a couple of the girls tipped me here and there. I made like $40.
Okay.
The last night, and I was trying to keep this on the down low. The last night that I was there, I made a little over $2,000.
Oh my gosh.
Just walking the girls to the car. And the funny thing was, I was playing the same games that they were playing on all the little Johns that come into the club. And one would hand me a 20, another would hand me $50, just for walking them to the car. But it was because of that relationship I was able to build with each one of these girls. And I guess they couldn't see their own tricks being played on them.
Okay. So you leveraged what you learned in your job to make money doing that. So then how did you get from that then to teaching guys how to get laid?
I think that was like where I really started to get good, really understand the female psyche, because I was around over 100, 150 girls every night.
Oh, okay.
So it really helped me to really get my grasp on what makes the female mind tick. So gradually I became kind of this underground hero in this whole dating scene for a guy who was known for being able to hook up with girls really quickly. Okay. So the funny thing was that was not my first attempt at an online business that would allow me to escape my job. That idea that I had on the beach in Costa Rica. In fact, my first attempt was a total flop.
Okay. What was that first attempt?
I tried to do a e-commerce type site where I was selling adult products, if you will.
Okay.
So total flop. I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
At the time, it wasn't. I was very determined. Mm-hmm. I knew that I could make it happen. That moment in Costa Rica, my first attempt was an utter flop, and it was mostly because I didn't know what I was doing. However, I was determined to make it happen regardless.
Okay.
So
when you were doing that site, that e-commerce site, were you doing that full time, or were you doing it kind of on the side with some other income?
I was doing it on the side, still working in the gentleman's club, still wishing that I could get out of that.
Yeah. Well, so what happened that made you say, you know what, I don't have to do this anymore. I don't have to manage this gentleman's club. I can go out and do my own thing. What was it that gave you the confidence to step out of the gentleman's club and to step out of the security, the perceived security of that paycheck dropping into your account every 2 weeks?
I liken it to Cortez burning his ships behind him. Mm-hmm. I'd started another site, the site that we were talking about with the dating advice, and it still wasn't making very much money, but I decided the only way that I was ever going to be able to get that boat afloat was actually just to burn all those boats behind me.
Okay.
I made it so that, I quit my job. I decided I'm going to figure this whole internet marketing situation out. I'm going to figure out how to sell stuff online. And, I am cutting off all of my escape routes in order to make that happen. Just like Cortez burning all of his ships behind him and was able to conquer an army that was far superior and far more numerous than his 500 soldiers. I figured that was the only way, was if I just made it so that it was do or die almost. And luckily, it ended up being a do. Not to say that it was easy at first, but sure. I was able to build something. And, although I made a lot of mistakes early on, just out of my own, ignorance, I just didn't know exactly how to sell online yet. I knew how to sell in general, just didn't know how to get the word out online, but I figured all of that out.
Okay.
Luckily, basically because I had to.
Yeah, well, you're right, exactly. So this is fascinating because you basically said, I don't want to have an out. I don't want to have something that I can go back to if this doesn't work out. That way my only option is to make this work.
Yep, that was exactly my attitude, and it still is. Like, I'm constantly making it so that and if there are guys who are listening to this, people that are listening to this, and they're thinking, how do I get myself motivated? Mm-hmm. Cut all of your outs out so that you just have to make it work or else. And that's kind of always been the thing that keeps me determined, is I make it so that I have to create this product or I have to get this thing to sell in order to succeed. I had no other options.
Sure.
So
sure.
It keeps me motivated.
I freaking love that mentality. I think that if more people did that, more people would be a lot more successful. When I left my full-time job, I did very much did the same thing. So I left my job, and then I started a business that talked about how awful the corporate world was and how much I hated it. So I sort of burned that bridge too, and that really scared me at first. But then I started to kind of see the good side of it, which was that it gave me no other option. Mm-hmm. And it's like nobody teaches that. I mean, is there any guru out there teaching you to burn bridges? And I think
not at all.
So I hope that you work that into your lifestyle stuff that you do, because I think that's awesome. How did you go about learning how to do that?
At first I didn't know anything, so I just started, I got to do something.
Yeah.
So I started off just doing kind of like what we're doing right now. I started interviewing the people that were in the same space as me.
Okay.
And was able to start building connections that way. And I didn't really know what I was doing at the time, but I guess I was doing something right because all of a sudden now I had a lot of connections with people that were in the industry, and they were willing to put out the good word on what was going on, even though I was actually just interviewing them. Okay. So that was kind of how I started. And then, just through gradual study and through being willing to break the rules sometimes, to like a lot of the ways that I sell is not what the copywriters will tell you is the best way to do it, but I found that it works for me.
Oh, okay. Well, now, so I want to ask you some more about that, but before we do that, the question that I have for you is, and you have to educate me because I'm not familiar with your niche,
right.
But what I suspect that is a very crowded niche.
It's extremely crowded. And not only that, it's a tricky niche because it's typically viewed as like one step above like hardcore porn and like a giant leap below adult friend finder, which may as well just be porn as well. So it's something that Google doesn't want to promote. It's something that Facebook doesn't want their name on. You can't run ads. So
oh, wow. Okay.
And it's very difficult to do search engine optimization. It's something that they would rather just not be involved with, even though like I don't do, there's not even so much as a nip slip on any of my sites.
Okay. So I would imagine that email is really tough too.
Email is actually where I finally found myself, where I finally was able to get something right. Now getting their email, that's a little bit tricky, but
why do people come and buy products and learn from you instead of the 90 million other people out there who are teaching the same sort of subject?
I think it's because of, and you mentioned email. I think it's because of the emails that I send out daily. They really feel that connection with me where I, reveal stuff, stories from my past, or I will basically I will entertain the shit out of them. Okay. And I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that, but
it's probably fine.
I entertain them every day.
Okay.
With an email, so they feel like they know me. They feel like they connect with me. I always. If I do get an email, I respond personally to all of them.
Okay.
I know it does end up taking a lot of my time, but it's one of those things where my second email in my autoresponder sequence, and I only have 2 actual messages in my autoresponder. My second email encourages them, send me a message. Tell me what frustrates you the most. And I always respond to that and try to get them hitting the ground running. And from there, like it's pretty much an easy sell.
Okay. Because you don't have any trouble like outlining the benefits for them.
No, benefits are already there.
But I think the short answer to the question is that you engage heavily with your followers and you build a really deep and strong relationship with them.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Now, this is I thought it was really interesting. You said you only have 2 emails in your autoresponder, so that means these daily emails that you send, you're typing those every single day, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Fresh email every day, which, a lot of people think it's, that's way too much work. It's just better to, load up 30 to 60 to 90 or however many messages and do it once and then it's over with. But for me, I find that when I not only is it therapeutic for me to be writing each day, but I find that it's a lot more authentic. It's coming from a place where, I think people can almost sniff out that message that I'm talking about. Last night I was at the bar and this happened, and they're thinking, well, there's details in this story that don't match up with what's going on right now.
Oh, sure.
So I'd like to include stuff that's happening right now so they know that this probably did happen last night. So, if I was talking about, this song was playing while I approached this girl, and it's a song that probably hasn't been played in a bar for like 5 years.
Right.
Or it's a song that just barely came out. They're going to think, okay, well, this probably did happen last night. And, that's the beautiful thing is that I live kind of transparently in that sense that I'm always willing to tell the honest truth and to tell them stories about what actually happened and give those little details so they know it's not just some email that I wrote flippantly 2 years ago.
Yeah. So yeah, it all comes down to relationships. And I know you said it takes a lot of time to respond to all the emails and to send the daily emails, but it's probably the best possible use of your time that you can have.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't have the world's largest email list, but I do have what I believe to be one of the more responsive ones.
And that's what matters.
Yeah, I mean, you could have 100,000 people on your email list, but if only a few of them ever engage, who cares? All you're doing is paying extra money for all those extra names on that list. I'd rather have a list that's full of people that are actually responding. So I'm only paying for people to be on that list who actually want to hear from me.
Yes, exactly. And the thing that is interesting about that is the strategy that all the big internet marketing gurus right now are teaching, and they won't say that they're teaching it this way, but they are. I trust me, I study them, I know them. What it is that it's a numbers game. It's that if you get a 1% response rate on your email list, then you're doing great, and the only way to grow is to get that 100,000 name list so that you can actually get something substantial out of that 1%. and that is absolutely the prevalent mentality today. And if you just look at a couple of, we're all on several email lists, and if you just look at the way that is being done, that is completely the strategy. But you have flipped that around, and you figured out a better way to do it. So I congratulate you for that. I think that's awesome.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
It is, and it's far more beneficial for the people that are on the list. I pretty much only have people that want to hear from me.
Yeah.
If they don't want to hear from me, they either unsubscribe or, they quit opening, and I delete them if they don't open after a while. So.
Oh, wait a minute. You delete people if they don't open your emails?
Absolutely. I don't need dead weight on there. If they haven't opened it in usually between 60 and 90 days, might as well get rid of them.
That is fascinating. A lot of marketing experts would tell you that you are nuts. But
I probably am. They might be right.
I think that's. I just love it when somebody just takes matters into their own hands and they decide what they want and they just go and do it. So I applaud you for that. I think that's awesome.
Well, thank you.
So and when when you're approaching potential joint venture partners, I mean that's got to be a huge selling point. That literally there are no unresponsive people on your list, or at least not within the 90 days or so.
It's really funny because I don't really even I don't do very many joint ventures. I don't participate in any launches, but when I do, it's very rare that I don't land in like the top 10 of those big launch prizes.
Yeah.
And I probably got far and away the smallest list of any of them. But size doesn't matter. It's how you use those people that are on that list.
Yes, exactly.
It's how responsive they actually are, how much they trust you.
Yes. It's not about the size; it's about the quality, and we will just totally leave the pun, leave the pun go, and move right along. But so I think this is awesome. What you're talking about for our listeners, because you're giving everybody a whole new perspective on how to do this whole internet marketing thing. Now you got a successful business teaching men how to get laid, and then how do you go from that to all this kind of like lifestyle and quit your job stuff that you're doing?
It's funny because that was my passion for a while, was teaching guys how to get laid, but it was really only a means to an end. It was really that I wanted that freedom. I remember living in South Africa. I remember when I was on that beach in Costa Rica, I wanted to be able to just, be able to cut all the chains that kept me tied to any specific place and be able to go and live wherever I wanted. In fact, for the past year now, I guess it ended about 2 months ago, but I actually lived in a motorhome in South America. I was just, I lived wherever I parked my set of wheels. So it was just the adventure of being able to, wherever I wanted to go, that was where I lived at the time.
Okay. So what are you doing now? Like where are you living now?
I'm now currently in Medellin, Colombia.
Oh, okay. You traveled around South America in an RV. Did you do that by yourself?
I did it with my Chihuahua, and yeah. So yeah, I mean, if you think that you can't travel with a pet, yeah, you can do it. Some people might think it's a bit narcissistic, and it probably is. But I was able to create a lifestyle where I'm able to not only go and see the places that I want to see, but I can also take my little guy with me.
Okay, that's awesome. So yeah, but hey, it's about living on your terms. Who cares if people think it's narcissistic? It's what you want, and that's what this is all about.
Exactly.
So what are some pieces of advice that you give people who want to leave their job and go do something more free, like what you're doing?
Well, first off, I mean, there's a lot of ways that you could do it. You don't have to follow my exact path. In fact, don't follow my exact path because it was laden with lots of hurdles and lots of obstacles that I had to overcome.
Yeah,
but
that's what makes you an expert.
Fair enough. Yeah, exactly. I mean, just being able to discover those things.
Yeah.
But if what you are doing right now is not fulfilling you, find a way that you can do what you do love that will fulfill you, and that you can live that kind of lifestyle. There's a lot of ways you can do it. You could start an online business. I talk a lot about travel because that's something that really I'm very passionate about. Mm-hmm. Just being able to experience, new cultures, new places, new exciting adventures. That's something that I really enjoy. It's not necessarily for everybody. Some people just want to quit their job and stay in Cleveland, Ohio, or wherever they happen to be. That's fine too.
Yeah, more power to them.
Exactly. So long as they're doing something that satisfies them, fulfills them, that's what's important to me. Now, in my case, that incorporates a lot of travel and a lot of seeing the world. And I think that I'm not alone on that. I think there's a lot of people out there that, hate their job and just wish they could see the world, wish they could, sip big foofy drinks on the beach, a pineapple chunk and a paper umbrella in it.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that once you get into the mindset of being able to escape that kind of safety of the regular paycheck, it's amazing how much further your dollar can go in a lot of places around the world. For example, I basically gave myself a 50% pay raise just by going to a place that I find to be practically heaven on earth to me.
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
Not only am I basically giving myself a pay raise, but I got to live exactly where I want to be, where the weather is perfect year round. The women are beautiful, the people are friendly, and it's just an exciting, there's an exciting energy about the city that I'm in right now. Now, does that mean I'm going to stay here forever? Probably not. There's so many places that I want to see, and there's so many places that I believe a lot of people want to see, and they'd be surprised how cheaply they could actually do it. It's funny how Americans tend to think, just in general, about vacation, how they never really take it in the first place, and how infrequently they travel. How infrequently they go to other places. And a lot of it is they think it's really, really expensive, but there's so many ways that you could make it happen that are really a lot more cheap than you think.
Yeah, well, Americans have this notion, and I think Europeans are certainly much better about it. But in America, we say, "Oh, yeah, vacation. Well, that's what we do 1 or 2 weeks a year. Mm-hmm. We travel 1 or 2 weeks a year. That's all that we do."
If we even do that, even if we even take the 1 or 2, a lot of people just take their vacation pay and just keep working straight through it, which to me is a tragedy.
That is a tragedy. It is a huge tragedy. But tell me, what's your day-to-day life like, Nick, down there living in your dream city?
All right, it's funny. Basically, the first thing that I do when I wake up in the morning is I will wake up and I check my email. I basically go to my office, which is put my laptop on my belly and check my email, make sure I respond to all of those emails that I've sent out, telling them to respond and whatnot. Checking sales. I usually will end the night with me writing the next day's email.
Oh, okay.
But for most of the day, I can spend that doing whatever I want. And a lot of the times I will be working, but maybe I'll be working from a coffee shop.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll be working from an amazing view over the city, or I have a little personal Wi-Fi device, a MiFi device that I'm able to get internet pretty much everywhere. Awesome. So I can go and be out in the middle of the Andean jungle and be working on my business, or just sitting back and relaxing with a cocktail or something.
Yeah. Oh, that is awesome. So I love it. So what are some of the things that you would advise people who want to do this for themselves? They want to have this awesome lifestyle that you have. What are some of the things that you tell them that they should do?
First off, if you're thinking about it right now, stop thinking about it. Start doing. The guys who are going to be successful in this, the people that are going to be successful are the ones who take action immediately. The ones who kind of think about it, try to mull it over, try to, be really methodical about it, and I'll quit my job when this happens.
Yeah.
The person who's going to be successful at this is the ones who take action immediately. Make it happen. Like, if you are thinking about this, do something today that will make it possible. Other things are, people are going to think you're crazy. I think everybody that I know, friends back home, I know most of my family think I am absolutely nuts. Or, up and quitting my job and just traveling and living wherever. They're like, how do you get by? I mean, that's just crazy that you can do that. But realize people are going to think you're nuts for doing this.
Yeah.
But don't listen to them.
Yeah.
It's very possible, and you'll be living a much better lifestyle. In fact, it's really funny because I mentioned that, I went to college, got that piece of paper. I also took the LSAT, and I took the LSAT with my best friend. He's still my best friend in the world. We both took the LSAT together. I actually got a higher score than he did.
Okay.
He went to law school. I didn't. I ended off down my path. But it's funny because he calls me all the time, and he'll tell me, he's like, I hate my job. I hate, everything. But, he's now $500,000 in debt after going to a really expensive, prestigious law school that, I probably would have gone to one similar and been in the same situation. Now he's pretty much stuck in that job that he hates because he's got an insurmountable amount of debt of college loans and whatnot.
And so for folks who might not know, the LSAT is a preparatory exam that you take before going into law school, and what that means, Nick, is that you probably were thinking about law school. Otherwise, you would not have taken that god awful difficult, horrible test.
And it is god awful difficult, even though I didn't study for it. But it's not a fun test.
Yeah, so that's not something. I mean, you must have been really giving that some pretty serious thought.
Yes, I was actually. It was something that I, wanted to pursue. I thought I would be really good at it.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I didn't think that I would enjoy it. And I now am 100% convinced that I know that I wouldn't enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, so what's the biggest mistake that you made on this journey that you've taken?
The biggest mistake that there's been so many of them. Let me think. I would say the biggest mistake that I've made was, and it's funny that I would mention this, is I would basically sipping back the Kool-Aid that the marketing gurus would dole out. It's kind of almost my belief that a lot of the marketing gurus out there, for better or for worse, and there's some good ones out there, but a lot of them basically will tell you what worked for them 2 years ago, but it's no longer working. Now they're going to sell it to you.
Yep.
So, I followed a lot of advice that might have worked at one point, but doesn't. And one thing about the fast-paced life of internet marketing is that it's always changing, and you got to be able to adapt. And, when they were telling me that, you really just want to look at click-through rates, and I was thinking, okay, I've got to get my click-through rates better, when really it's about the bottom line. Like, how many sales are you making? I can get people to click on stuff easily if I wanted to, trick them into clicking, but I'd rather have people that click because they actually want to buy, or they want what's being offered. I want people opening, not because I came up with some clever subject line, which I do come up with clever subject lines, but I want them to click because, holy Christ, it's that Nick guy.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm open. I mean, think of it, if your mom or whoever, your best friend, sent you an email, would you even care what, they could leave the subject line blank?
Yeah.
It wouldn't matter.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So, all of these things were not really discussed. It wasn't really so much about building the relationship so much as, all these different split tests and big launch plans that, just don't work as much anymore.
Yeah.
I think people are onto that, or silly video sales letters that are all the same.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, sometimes you look at those long sales letters and you're like, well, they just took the standard sales letter form and pulled out all of this and, pulled out the other person's stuff and stuck in their own stuff.
I've even seen products lately where here's a video sales letter generator where you're just put in a few little details here and it'll spit out your video sales letter. And I'm thinking, but where's the relationship? Where's the personality? Where's the actual stuff from your life or the stuff that really motivates you? Where's all that being put in this little generator? It's not there.
It's not. Yeah. Yeah. I think that one of the things that I use as a rule of thumb is if you think you're able to automate relationship building, then you're probably wrong. I think that the thing that you're doing, the biggest thing, and you probably would agree that you're doing is you're building that really, really strong and deep relationship with a smaller group of people than having that kind of one-way blast out carpet bombing with emails. And it sounds like that's the key, and that's where you're putting your time, and that is absolutely the best place to put your time. So I think that's would you agree that that's the secret sauce?
For me, yes.
Yeah.
Especially given the competitiveness and the non Google friendliness or even social media friendliness of my primary business's niche. It's just I need to get them privately one-on-one in a metaphorical sense.
Yeah.
Email's the best way to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, so it's funny because as I look down here at Skype, we tape these interviews over Skype for folks who don't know, but your name on Skype is Nick Rogue Quick.
Yes.
So
yes.
I think the Rogue moniker is very appropriate because you're not doing anything the way anybody says you're supposed to, and that is why I wanted to have you on the How to Quit Working show, and that's why you're as successful as you are, and that's why it was such a blast to talk to you. So anything else that you want to advise people? What's the last thing that you want to leave people with who want to go out and create this lifestyle for themselves?
If what you're doing right now is not fulfilling you, stop. Make whatever changes you have to do. Life is too short to really just be a slave for somebody else. If you're going to be a slave, you might as well be a slave to yourself.
Yeah.
Create something that you think is awesome, that you can feel proud of, and that will ultimately give you that lifestyle that you desire. It's possible. It's something that's within the grasp of anybody who's willing to put in just the minimal effort. I mean, the way that I always look at it is if you contrary, and here we go again being contrary to the popular saying where, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. I say do what you love and you'll probably work almost every day of your life, but you'll enjoy every damn minute of it.
Yep.
So that's kind of the thought that I want to leave people with, is that if you're doing what you love, you're going to work a lot, but you're going to enjoy it every second of it.
Yep. Definitely. Great advice. And where can folks go to get more information about you if they want to get laid or if they want to create a lifestyle?
Well, I'd rather start with the lifestyle.
Okay.
That's going to be more appealing to most people, or who knows. But you can go to escapehacker.com. In fact, on escapehacker.com, you can get my video presentation. I give 7 ways that you can quit your job and live your ultimate dream lifestyle, whether that be traveling the world or whether it be back in Cleveland, Ohio. However you want to do it, there are 7 strategies on how to do that. You can get that there. If guys really are on this call are really interested, you can go to samenightseduction.com. I got a free guide there as well. But I'd highly recommend checking out escapehacker.com.
All right, sounds good. So we will link up escapehacker.com below the podcast. You can just, or below the show, so you can click down and see that and click on that. And again, I want to thank you, Nick, for being on the show, and I wish you the best of luck with everything that you're doing, and I look forward to staying in touch.
Hey, thank you very much for having me on the show. This was an honor and a pleasure.
Thanks for joining us on the How to Quit Working show. Tune in next time when we'll talk to another amazing person just like you who is now living the ultimate life of freedom and doing it on their terms. If you want to learn how to quit working and get these episodes delivered directly to you, visit howtoquitworkingshow.com.